Life often feels like a relentless force, constantly testing our patience, resilience, and mental strength. We encounter situations that are beyond our control, and it can feel like we are tossed around by forces we cannot comprehend. The pain, frustration, and challenges we face are inevitable. Yet, there is a path, a philosophy, that teaches us how to remain unshaken no matter what life throws our way. This path is Stoicism, an ancient philosophy founded by Zeno of Citium and taught by sages like Epictetus. Epictetus, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, is known for his practical wisdom that helps individuals navigate life's storms with a sense of inner peace. His teachings reveal a profound truth. Nothing outside of us can disturb our peace if we don't let it. This idea is central to Stoic philosophy. The external world can only affect us if we allow it. By practicing Stoic principles, we can master our emotional responses, cultivate inner tranquility, and become resilient in the face of adversity. Stoicism does not ask us to become indifferent or cold to the world around us. It doesn't advocate for detachment from the struggles of life. Instead, it teaches us to understand that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can always control how we respond. It is this inner mastery that allows us to face life's difficulties with grace, wisdom, and unwavering composure. The true power lies not in the circumstances themselves, but in how we choose to interpret and react to those circumstances. Consider, for instance, the loss of a loved one. This is a universal experience that everyone will face at some point. It is a profound and inevitable event, one that can often leave us feeling devastated and helpless. However, the Stoic response to such a loss is different from the usual reaction. Stoicism encourages us to reflect on the transient nature of life and accept death as a natural part of the human experience. Instead of resisting or resenting the loss, the Stoic mindset seeks to appreciate the time spent with the loved one and focus on what we can control in the present moment. By embracing the impermanence of life, we can navigate the pain of loss with a sense of peace and understanding. The practice of Stoicism teaches us that our emotional responses are often more damaging than the events themselves. Life's events may not always be within our control, but how we perceive and react to them is entirely in our hands. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The key here is to change our mindset, our way of interpreting the world. When we learn to see adversity as an opportunity for growth rather than a personal affront, we free ourselves from the chains of negative emotions that so often cloud our judgment. One of the primary teachings of Stoicism is the concept of control. The Stoics teach us to recognize the distinction between what is within us, focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. We release ourselves from the anxiety and stress that come with trying to control the uncontrollable. When we adopt this mindset, we begin to realize that most of our emotional distress comes from our attempts to control things outside of our control. For example, when we try to control someone else's opinion of us or force a specific outcome in a situation, we set ourselves up for frustration and disappointment. On the other hand, if we focus on how we can act with integrity, kindness, and wisdom in any situation, we maintain our power and peace. There is a freedom that comes from accepting the limitations of our control. This freedom allows us to release our grip on the things we cannot change and direct our energy toward what we can influence, our own actions, thoughts, and responses. This shift in perspective not only reduces stress but also increases our sense of personal empowerment. Another crucial aspect of Stoicism is the idea of accepting fate. The Stoics believed in Amor Fati, the love of fate. This concept invites us to embrace everything that happens in life, whether good or bad, as necessary and meaningful. Rather than resisting the events that unfold, the Stoic learns to accept them with grace. This doesn't mean passively accepting every circumstance without action, but rather acknowledging that everything that happens is part of the larger flow of life. When we resist life's challenges, we only create more suffering for ourselves. The Stoic response is to embrace whatever comes our way, understanding that it is part of the larger picture. Whether we face success or failure, joy or sorrow, the Stoic strives to see these moments as integral to the development of our character. Life is not happening to us. It is happening for us, offering opportunities for growth and transformation. This attitude allows us to let go of the need to control outcomes. Instead of wishing for things to be different, we learn to love what is. This doesn't mean we accept injustice or harmful behavior passively. Rather, it means that we choose to accept the reality of the moment without unnecessary resistance and focus on how we can respond in a virtuous and wise manner. The power of perspective is another core principle of Stoicism. Epictetus often reminded his followers that it is not the events themselves that cause us suffering, but our judgments and interpretations of those events. The way we perceive the world directly shapes how we experience it. When we encounter a difficult situation, we have the ability to choose how to interpret it. For example, if we face criticism from others, we can view it as a personal attack, or we can choose to see it as an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. By changing our perspective, we can transform our experience of life. When we view obstacles as challenges to be overcome, rather than as insurmountable roadblocks, we build resilience. When we see difficulties as stepping stones on our path to wisdom, we stop fearing them and instead embrace them as opportunities to grow stronger. This shift in mindset is at the heart of Stoic practice. It teaches us that our suffering is not determined by what happens to us, but by how we choose to respond to what happens. One of the most powerful tools that Stoicism offers is the practice of self-control. In a world that is often driven by immediate gratification and impulsive desires, the Stoics encourage us to cultivate discipline and control over our emotions, actions, and desires. By practicing self-control, we become the masters of our own lives, no longer slaves to our fleeting desires or external circumstances. The practice of self-control is not about suppressing our emotions or desires, but about learning to regulate them so that they do not control us. When we feel anger rising, we can choose to pause, breathe, and respond calmly rather than reacting impulsively. When we feel the urge to indulge in unhealthy habits or distractions, we can choose to resist and instead focus on our long-term well-being. By practicing self-control, we develop the strength to face life's challenges with clarity, purpose, and integrity. This ability to control our reactions is what allows us to remain unaffected by the world around us. No matter what happens in the external world, we can always choose how to respond. When we choose to act in alignment with our highest values and virtues, we maintain our inner peace and preserve our sense of self. Stoicism also teaches us the importance of being present in the moment. So often, we find ourselves preoccupied with the past or the future, allowing our minds to wander and our emotions to spiral. But the Stoic reminds us that the only time we truly have is the present. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. What we do in this moment is what truly matters. By focusing our energy on the present, we can fully engage with life as it unfolds, without being distracted by regrets or anxieties. This mindfulness allows us to live with intention and purpose. We stop worrying about what might happen and start acting in the here and now. By cultivating mindfulness, we enhance our sense of peace and clarity, as we are no longer at the mercy of our past mistakes or future fears. We are free to live fully in the present, embracing each moment as it comes. The final piece of the Stoic puzzle is the acceptance of death and the impermanence of life. Death is an inevitable part of the human experience, and yet many of us live in fear of it. The Stoics, however, believe that contemplating death regularly helped us live more fully. By reflecting on our mortality, we are reminded of the preciousness of life and the importance of living with purpose. Rather than fearing death, the Stoic seeks to embrace it as a natural part of existence. This acceptance of death helps us release the attachment to material possessions and fleeting pleasures. We stop wasting time on trivial concerns and begin to focus on what truly matters, living a life of virtue, wisdom, and integrity. By accepting the impermanence of life, we learn to appreciate each moment. We stop taking life for granted and start living with a sense of urgency and gratitude. This awareness of our mortality helps us make better decisions, focus on what is truly important, and embrace life's challenges with